Turkey, a president and candidate for re-election, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan secured another term in office after winning Sunday's runoff election. In Spain, the People's Party wins in the main cities except for Barcelona in the regional and municipal elections. The Spanish Socialist Workers' Party lost ground in important territories. And in Cuba, all candidates proposed by President Miguel Díaz-Canel were elected as governors and vice-governors as established by the Constitution and electoral laws. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The president and candidate for re-election in Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, won in the second round of the presidential election. According to the official results issued by the Supreme Electoral Council of Turkey, Erdoğan got more than 52% of the votes, while his rival Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu surpassed 46%. After the election results were announced, the re-elected president thanked the citizens for their support, while his followers went out to the streets to celebrate. More than 60 million people were eligible to vote in Sunday's key runoff election. Authorities reported that no incident took place during the day. After Turkey's election board confirmed that Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has won the country's 2023 presidential election, the re-elected head of state addressed his supporters in Ankara and thanked them for strengthening the nation's democracy.
I would like to thank every one of our citizens who has proven the strength of our democracy by going to the ballot boxes and voted in the presidential election. I would like to thank every one of them. Throughout this process, I would like to congratulate the public servants and the public officers and the observers and the officers in the ballot boxes, the police forces and the security officers. I would like to congratulate every one of them for this healthy organization of the election process.
Likewise, President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan highlighted his administration is not angry at anyone and reaffirmed it is time to focus on the national dreams and targets for the new term.
All those discussions regarding to the election process and the conflicts should be put aside, and we should be focusing on our national dreams and national targets, and we should indeed come together in unity, in solidarity around our national targets and national dreams. So we are making this call not for the sake of doing it, but we are making this call with all our hearts, because we know that the real strength of Turkey is thanks to the unity of 85 million of our citizens being together.
And many heads of states and presidents congratulated Erdogan for his re-election. On Twitter, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said Venezuela celebrates the triumph of our brother and friend Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who won the presidential and parliamentary elections in Turkey. We congratulate the Turkish people for this victory, wishing to continue working together to build the new world. Long live Turkey. Brazilian President Lula Silva said, "Congratulations, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, for re-election as President of Turkey. I wish you a good mandate with a lot of work for the best of the Turkish people, and you can count on Brazil's partnership in global cooperation for peace and in the fight against poverty and development in the world." For his part, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel wrote our most sincere congratulations to Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the occasion of his re-election as President of the Republic of Turkey. We wish him success in his duties, and we reiterate our willingness to continue promoting the ties of friendship and cooperation between both countries. In other news, in Spain, with more than 98% of the votes counted, the People's Party wins in the main cities except for Barcelona. The far-right Vox triples its number of councillors compared to the last election, while the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party loses ground in important territories. After making the call to participate in Sunday's municipal and regional elections, authorities reported a turnout of more than 35.5 million people. Likewise, authorities said that with a majority, the right-wing PP party is confirmed as the winner with 31.27%, and 22,134 councillors, which leaves the PSOE at a disadvantage of 500,000 votes, with 28.37%, and 19,618 councillors. Finally, the authorities of the Ministry of the Interior are awaiting the finalization on the corresponding statements. In Cuba on Sunday, 100% of the candidates proposed by President Miguel Díaz-Canel were elected as governors and vice governors established by the Constitution and electoral laws. During a day that was characterized by a participation of more than 98% of the delegates of the electoral colleges, who exercised their right to vote freely and secretly. In such sense, the President of the National Electoral Council, Arina Balseiro, detailed that some authorities were ratified, and in other cases, they went from vice governors to governors. Balseiro expressed that the election day has been a demonstration of democracy and transparency. According to Cuba's electoral law, the chosen candidates will hold public office for 5 years.
8 women were chosen as deputy governors. There's that. Some of the deputy governors were chosen as governors, which means the delegates carefully reviewed the proposal presented to them, which I would say lives up to the current situation in the country. And proof of this is that some of them were ratified in their posts.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Colombia, an earthquake of magnitude 5.7 was registered this Sunday, whose epicenter was located in the municipality of Los Santos in the department of Santander. According to a report from the Colombian Geological Survey, the telluric movement occurred around 10:45 a.m. local time and lasted for several seconds. It was recorded at a depth of 152 kilometers, a latitude of 6.82 and a longitude of 73.17. The earthquake was felt in several regions such as Bogota, Ibagué, Manizales, Pereira, Bucaramanga, and other 5. As detailed, the movement was followed by other tremors of magnitude 4.6, 3.6, and 3.1. So far, there are no reports of fatalities or injuries. Environmental authorities of El Salvador confirm increased activity of the Chaparrastic volcano. Civil protection authorities raised alert levels due to the emission of gases and ashes, by also known as the Colossus of San Miguel. They suggested the population keep a 2-kilometer margin away from the elevation for safety. Volcanic ash reached some municipalities of San Miguel, including San Jorge, so the competent security bodies will keep monitoring with municipal commissions. Nicaragua's Cardinal Leopoldo Brens confirmed that parish bank accounts of the Archdiocese of Managua have been frozen in a money laundering investigation into the country's Catholic Church. Brent's statements came after Nicaraguan police confirmed they began an investigation into several dioceses of the Catholic Church for money laundering. Police also stated that since May 19th they found hundreds of thousands of US dollars in church facilities in various parts of the country. In this sense, government officials added the bank accounts were linked to religious figures convicted of treason and other crimes, and the investigations confirmed the funds entered the country irregularly.
I can answer for my parishes. We have bank accounts where practically all the money from collections and offering is kept. Whenever we are asked for information, we will provide it. There are 2 priests detained from Esteli City in the same laundering case. They are going to be interrogated and they will have to provide the relevant information they have documents about.
Thousands of Chileans took to the streets on Sunday to celebrate Heritage Day, a day dedicated to the appreciation and preservation of the country's cultural wealth. To mark the occasion, numerous activities were carried out, allowing citizens to discover and enjoy the historical and architectural diversity of the nation. Heritage Day is an annual celebration organized by the Ministry of Culture, Arts and Heritage, which seeks to promote citizen enjoyment, knowledge, and reflection on heritage in Chile. Through this initiative, all institutions and organizations in the country are invited to open their doors for free and share their assets with the community. In this year's celebrations, there were visits to the Presidential Palace, the Central Bank, exhibitions, concerts, and art workshops. United States President Joe Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy reached an agreement in principle to lift the debt limit for 2 years while cutting and capping some government spending over the same period, a breakthrough after a crisis that brought the nation within days of its fourth default in history.
Take you back to where we all started, back to February 1st, sat down with the president, said let's work together to be able to raise the debt ceiling, but curve the amount of spending, to let America be able to work again, cut red tape, get some work requirements to help people get back into work. I think this agreement frames all that from limit, save, grow. Doesn't get everything everybody wanted, but that's in divided government. That's where we end up. I think it's a very positive bill. This bill transformation, I hope you see that the change in Congress. Not that it just opened the People's House. I hope you saw going through this, we wanted to be very open to the American public of what we were talking about.
In a brief appearance before media at the White House, United States President Joe Biden said a final bipartisan deal to raise the U.S. debt ceiling now heads to Congress, where he urged both chambers to pass it.
And we've reached a bipartisan budget agreement that we're ready to move to the full Congress. And I think it's a really important step forward, and it takes the threat of catastrophic default off the table, protects our hard-earned and historic economic recovery, and the agreement also represents a compromise, which means no one got everything they want. That agreement now goes to the United States House and to the Senate. I strongly urge both chambers to pass that agreement. Let's keep moving forward on meeting our obligations and building the strongest economy in the history of the world.
At least 3 dead and 5 injured in a shooting in the region of New Mexico in the United States. The number of victims was confirmed by Linda Calhoun, mayor of Red River, where the incident occurred. The aggression materialized on Saturday afternoon while 20,000 bikers participated in an annual rally for the Day of the Fallen. The police indicate that the fact is due to a gun rivalry and that the people involved were captured. They also indicated that no officer or neighbor in the area was affected. After the violence, a Red River curfew was decreed. In Brazil, President Nicolas Maduro arrived in Brasilia on his official visit to the Federal Republic of Brazil. The event will take place mainly in the Itinerary Palace and headquarters of the Chancellery. The presidents will meet in 2 sessions, first with individual statements and then for an informal debate, followed by a dinner at the Alvorada, the official residence of the Brazilian president. All discussions will be closed and a final declaration with a common position is not yet guaranteed. In the room will only be the presidents, their foreign ministers, and some advisors. The idea of the role proposed by Lula is that countries can discuss common problems frankly. In Serbia, Defense Minister Milo Vucevic warns of increased tensions with Kosovo and fears the start of an armed conflict. According to Milos Vucevic, tensions in Kosovo have reached a critical point and an armed conflict could break out, detailing that the Serbian army units continue to expand their presence along the lines of the Kosovo and Metohija regions. Government put military units on high alert after Kosovo's attempt to appoint an Albanian national as mayor of the north. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov claimed that Western countries are waging a war against Russia at all levels, including Moscow's economy and international relations. In statements to the press, the Russian official stressed that the West's struggle against Russia has spread over a wide area, thus after stating that all the unshakable foundations are being trampled underfoot by representatives of Collective West. He also remarked that despite all this, the Russian government remains alert and firm. In this regard, Peskov remarked that the objectives set by Russian President Vladimir Putin for the ongoing special operations in the Donbas region have not changed, and all of them must be fulfilled. teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, dial 461 and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. According to the health department in South Africa, 23 people died in the middle of a cholera outbreak. The full authority detailed that to date there are 48 confirmed cases, so the government maintains the epidemiological fence to prevent the spread. They also urge the population to go to the nearest health center in case of presenting some diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, or symptoms characteristic of this disease. Let's remember on May 19th, the first cases in Pretoria in the north of the country. Somalia's government and federal member states agreed on Sunday that direct universal election would be introduced with local elections set for June 2024. The decision followed a pledge by President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud in March to end a complex, indirect system in place since 1969. After reaching an agreement with state leaders, the national government stated that the elections must be one that gives the population the opportunity to cast their votes democratically in a one-person, one-vote system. It also added that the reform aims to encourage the multi-party political system, one that is independent and corruption-free. Somalia has not had one-person, one-vote elections nationwide since 1969, when Siad Barre seized power. We continue in his last address to the nation. Outgoing Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari celebrates a peaceful transition of power to the new administration of President-elect Bola Tinubu, confident that he leaves office with his country in better shape after 2 terms in office.
Today, we mark and celebrate another peaceful transition of power from one elected government to another in our steady march to improve and sustain Nigeria's democracy. As I retire home to Daura, Katsina State, I feel fulfilled that we have started the Nigerian rebirth by taking the initial critical steps, and I am convinced the incoming administration will quicken the pace of this work to see a Nigeria that fulfills its destiny to be a great nation.
In Sudan, the conflict between the armed forces and rapid support forces has thrown the banking sector into chaos. Many Sudanese have been locked out of their savings as the 7-day ceasefire agreed last week approaches the end. Fighting between Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and former Deputy Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, who commands the powerful paramilitary rapid support forces, has brought the country's financial system to a standstill. A large number of people have fled Khartoum to Madani due to the war, and all Western Union services were suspended for 21 days. Elsewhere, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reaffirmed his full confidence in UN Special Envoy Volker Perthes after a request from General al-Burhan for him to be removed from the post. Oman Sultan Haytham bin Tariq began a 2-day official visit to Tehran following an invitation by his Iranian counterpart Ebrahim Raisi in order to assess bilateral relations of friendship and cooperation. Oman Sultan was received at Merhal International Airport by Iranian Vice President Mohammad Mokhbar and a large Iranian delegation. The official welcoming ceremony was held in the presence of his counterpart Sayyid Ebrahim Raisi at the Sahabad Historical Complex, north of Tehran, where the 2 leaders made and exchanged views in order to strengthen bilateral cooperation. They also discussed regional challenges such as the nuclear agreement affected by Washington's decision to unilaterally withdraw in 2018. Sultan Haytham's trip to Iran comes a week after his visit to Egypt. This Sunday in China, the first self-developed passenger aircraft made its first commercial flight between Shanghai and Beijing. The aircraft called C-919 departed from Shanghai Hongqiao International Airport to Beijing Capital International Airport with more than 130 passengers on board. Likewise, the company received the first aircraft in December and performed test flights at the end of that month. Meanwhile, the aircraft is planned to be used in the regular commercial service and to operate flights between Shanghai-Chengdu route from Monday, May 29th. We have come to the end of this news brief. From you can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.